There's a quiet struggle happening right now that I don't think we're talking about honestly enough. A lot of men feel lost, not weak, not incapable, not even broken, just directionless. And I think a big reason why is because young men today are growing up in a cultural tug of war. On one side, they're fed this version of masculinity built on dominance, emotional suppression, control, and never showing weakness. And on the other side, they're often told masculinity itself is the problem. So now, a lot of men are stuck in the middle asking, what does it actually mean to be a strong man today? And honestly, I think that question deserves better answers than the ones we're currently giving them. Because right now, both extremes are failing young men. One side tells men to apologize for masculinity, the other is teaching them to weaponize it. And somewhere in the middle, a lot of men are left isolated, confused, and searching for identity in all the wrong places. That's why I keep saying masculinity isn't the problem. Fragile masculinity is. Fragile masculinity is insecurity disguised as strength. It's the version of manhood that depends on power over others instead of power over yourself. It's the belief that vulnerability itself is weakness, that accountability is failure, that emotional intelligence is somehow makes you less of a man. But real masculinity has never been about dominance. Real masculinity is steady. It's discipline when nobody's watching. It's emotional resilience when life gets hard. It's accountability when you screw up. It's being a provider, not just financially, but also emotionally. A present father, a reliable partner, a grounded leader, because real strength isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. And I think a lot of men feel lost right now because nobody really prepared them for what modern manhood would look like. For most of human history, the role was pretty clear. You have to provide, you have to protect, you have to lead. Today, a lot of those expectations have changed. And in many ways, that's a good thing. But what hasn't replaced them is a clear model for what healthy masculinity actually looks like. So men are left asking, what am I actually working towards? And when purpose becomes unclear, people drift. You can have a decent job, make okay money, have friends, and still feel empty. Because purpose isn't about what you have, it's about what you're building toward. And don't get me started on social media. Social media makes this so much worse because now every guy opens up Instagram and sees somebody richer, more successful, in better shape, with a better car, a better relationship, a better life. At least that's what it looks like. But we're comparing our real lives to somebody else's highlight reel. And over time, that creates this constant feeling of, I'm behind. I'm not successful enough. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not far enough along. And eventually you stop building your own life because you're too busy measuring yourself against someone else's. And then there's the isolation piece. I think loneliness among men has quietly become normalized because friendships fade. Life gets busy. Work starts taking priority. And instead of real connection, we replace it with convenience. Group chats instead of real conversations. Scrolling instead of showing up. And because a lot of men were taught not to rely on people emotionally, isolation becomes the default. Everything stays internal. And when you have everything staying in your head long enough, it distorts how you see yourself and the world. That's why vulnerability matters. Not because men need to become softer, but because without vulnerability, men end up carrying everything alone. And eventually that pressure shows up somewhere else, like anger or withdrawal or numbness or resentment. or shutting down altogether. A lot of men don't know how to say, I'm struggling, so instead, they just go silent. Healthy masculinity requires both strength and emotional awareness. We need men who can lead with confidence while also communicating with emotional intelligence. Men who can protect without controlling. Men who have things to accomplish, but nothing to prove. Because courage isn't the absence of emotion, it's the willingness to face it honestly. As a new father to a son, this conversation feels deeply personal to me because our boys are watching. They learn masculinity from what we celebrate, what we tolerate, and what we embody. And if we only give them these two options, either dominance or shame, we shouldn't be surprised when they struggle. But if we model masculinity through discipline, compassion, accountability, emotional resilience, then we create stronger men and we create healthier communities. I want to be clear. I have no interest in making men weaker. I think we need stronger, just stronger in ways that actually matter. Because the strongest man in the room is rarely the loudest. He's the steadiest. He doesn't need to dominate to feel secure. He doesn't fear vulnerability because his strength isn't performative. He understands masculinity isn't proven through intimidation, it's proven through integrity. And if we want better men, we need better models for manhood. Because masculinity at its best isn't about dominance. It's about discipline. It's about accountability, and it's about emotional resilience. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to prove his strength because he just lives it. As always, be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time.